So we're not manifesting the vehicle, we're manifesting the feeling, the emotion. So if you don't necessarily know what you want to create, what I want you to do if you're listening right now is think about the feelings that you want to have. Think about the way you want to feel when you've gotten to that moment where you can say, I did it.
We are Gold Ivy. Our mission is to empower you to own and unleash your truth. Stories of resiliency are gold, and ivy grows in hard places. Those hard places are what create space for light to shine through. You decide what works for your daily life and how to transform our lessons into your gold. This is Ivy Unleashed, a Gold Ivy production. From VH1 host to Broadway actor to building an empire as a keynote speaker, author, and podcast host, there's nothing Jen Gottlieb can't do. If you follow us on social media, you've seen us rave about this woman because we were just at her life-changing event. Go to our Instagram and watch if you missed it. Because the work her and her husband are doing is unbelievable. Jen has a gift of helping others be seen because she continually does the work herself to build belief and overcome fear. We chat about how she uses visualization to manifest anything she wants to create, including her husband. And on a very special note, her book is out this week. Be Seen drops October 31st. So listen today and then come back Thursday, November 2nd for part 2 of this life-changing conversation. And now to this episode of the Ivy Unleashed podcast. Welcome back to Ivy Unleashed. Today is such a pinch me moment. We are sitting down with Jen Gottlieb. Jen, welcome to Ivy Unleashed. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited to be here. So grateful. I feel like we're all like having a meal together with your table.
Yes.
Like a virtual, I feel like I'm with you. So this is super fun.
Yeah, and I don't know if Jen knows this yet, but we are coming to your event in October. So we're going to get to see you on stage, which we're so excited about. We have heard you speaking on stages, on your podcast, as guests on other podcasts. And we were telling Jen before this too, that the value that she's provided in our life and to be just such a role model for us, our goal is to also be on stages, to also be an author. We're going to talk about the incredible book that's going to be out for everybody to read. And we're excited to dive into all of it. But first, we want to get to know you a little bit more. Brooke and I know a lot about you, but in case our listeners don't know a lot about you, and we'll get into this too. Before being a Broadway actress, before VH1 television, before keynote speaker, what was your life before that?
How far do we want to go back?
As far as you want to go back. I love hearing about people's childhoods.
I was born in Chicago, Illinois. And when I was a little kid, I think this is important. I talk about it in the book a lot. I was like a weird out there kid. Talk about being seen, right? Like, and now I speak on stages and perform. I was that person from, I feel like the second that I came out of my mom's womb. Actually, I spoke really early. So like before I was walking, I was talking in full sentences. So my parents thought that I was like a genius. They were like, oh, my kid's a genius. And they took me to get all of these tests and everything to like prove that I was a genius. I wasn't a genius. I just had a really, really loud mouth and I liked to talk and to be seen. And so I've been performing since I could walk. And if you were to met me when I was a little kid, I would have probably grabbed you and been like, let me do a show for you on the table. And I was always singing and dancing in front of my dad's video camera. And that was what I knew that I always wanted to do. Like from a very, very, very young age, I was obsessed. And it's so funny because I love the Steve Jobs quote, you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards, because I spent the majority of my life with this idea that my purpose in life was to be an actress and a performer in the only way that I knew performance was. So I went to school for musical theater. I went to college and dropped out, but I was a musical theater major in college, left, moved to New York City, went to school for theater. I was like, I'm going to be an actress. I'm going to spend my life auditioning, waiting for someone to pick me, reading somebody else's lines, singing somebody else's songs, and have that traditional actor life. What is so fascinating about the whole story, when I look backwards and I connect all of the dots, when I was in it and I wasn't getting the parts and it wasn't working out for me, or maybe it was a little bit, but it was completely out of alignment, like being on that metal show, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, or traveling around the country with a Broadway show and realizing that even though I was playing my dream role, it wasn't the life that I envisioned. that all of that was actually just planting seeds for something so much bigger that I didn't even know existed. I didn't even know what motivational speaking was. And now I stand up on stage and I get paid a lot more money than I did when I was an actress. And I get to say my own words, and I get to really create my own stage and not really necessarily wait for anyone to tell me that I'm good enough to do it. And I get to help people at the same time. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what it was all for. This was the seed was planted when I was a little girl, and I thought it was for something. And I had that vision, but as I took action and as all the crazy things happened that happened in my life, which is usually what happens in life because life gets lifey, but it was all secretly like kind of paving the way for this other career that's so much more fulfilling that I didn't know about. And I love sharing that because a lot of people come to me and they're like, Jen, I don't know my purpose. I want to know my purpose. I want to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing on this planet, or what I thought I was supposed to be doing didn't really work out, or I don't really believe that I can make it in what I want to do. And I always tell them, you really don't know what the outcome is going to be. And you can't get clear unless you start taking action. Clarity follows action. And if I would have just sat around and waited for my purpose to arrive, I probably would still be sitting around waiting. But I just kept doing things, and I kept trying new things, and I kept taking action, even though I was getting rejected and I was failing and I was trying and was pivoting and I was creating new businesses and reinventing myself a zillion times over again. If I didn't do that so many times, I wouldn't have gotten to the purpose. So sometimes you don't need to know what your purpose is. Sometimes you just need to know the first action step that's in front of you and have the courage to take that step in order to get to the realization of what it is way, way, way later on. And I know I didn't even just tell you about my childhood, which is what you asked me to do. I went on and
It's
I also
perfect.
started like doing my full on TED talk, but it really like, it's all so connecting right now, even like in this moment of this book launch, really understanding why everything happened the way that it did.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's one thing to look back and say, aha. But when you're in the moment, right, to know what is that step? What do I take? And you talk a lot about desire. And I heard you say once, focus on the desire that you want, not the vehicle. And that was like, ooh. So I'd love for you to speak on that for that woman out there right now who's like, I don't know. I know what I want isn't this right now, but what do I do?
I talk a lot about in the book, I call manifesting creation, because I really believe that, a lot of people use the word manifestation. I think that's a great word, but I think when you're manifesting, it's more like you're co-creating. You're co-creating with your beliefs, with the universe, with your actions, the things that you want in your life. And a lot of people ask me every morning when I do my makeup on Instagram Live and I do Q&A, one of the most popular questions I get asked is, can I manifest a specific person? Can I manifest a specific thing, that specific job? Like I really want this one job, or I really want Brad Pitt to fall in love with me. Maybe it's not Brad Pitt today. Maybe it's somebody else, but this one person. And I always say, like, I don't necessarily believe that you should be trying to manifest a specific thing, because if you think about it, the stuff that you want, you don't really want that thing. If you got something else that would make you feel the exact same way that thing that you thought you wanted was going to make you feel, you would take the other thing. So if I said to you, listen, I know you want to manifest, I don't know, insert like dreamboat celebrity person to fall in love with you. If I said that tomorrow, the love of your life that's going to make you feel even better than dreamboat celebrity would make you feel, would you take that person tomorrow? They would say, yes, of course. Oh my gosh. So we're not manifesting the vehicle. We're manifesting the feeling, the emotion. So if you don't necessarily know what you want to create, what I want you to do if you're listening right now is think about the feelings that you want to have. Think about the way you want to feel when you've gotten to that moment where you can say, I did it. Right? For me, I don't necessarily know some of the things that I want to create yet, but I know that feeling of walking into a room and all my friends and family are there and they're celebrating me. I don't know why they're celebrating me. We're all celebrating together. And it's just this amazing feeling of fulfillment and love and joy. And we're like, we did it. We did it. Or I'm like signing a check or a contract. I don't know what it's for, but I'm feeling so proud of myself for it. And that leaves space for me to take action and go in different directions and try things without being married to a specific outcome. Because sometimes when we're too married to a specific outcome, we subconsciously ignore opportunities that are right in front of our eyes that could get us that exact same feeling, but in a way that we never really knew existed. Manifest the feeling. Tap into the feeling and then be really, really aware of the opportunities that start to present themselves, and then have the courage to take action and walk in the direction of those opportunities. And you might just get that feeling, but you'll probably get it in a way that you never even really realized you were going to get it from.
Brooke, what do you think everyone wants more of?
Energy.
What do you think most people are hoping to come out of 2023 with?
Feel more confident, be an example for others, actually have the self-discipline to take care of themselves.
Yes, exactly. Because we hear the need for it and we want to help you get in the best shape of your life, we created Move with Gold Ivy, our virtual workout platform.
Our dream has been to create accessible, affordable, and effective workouts that you can do anytime, anywhere, designed to hold you accountable and get you the results you need.
You can pick any workout you want at any time, but if you do want a plan that alternates muscle groups and leaves your body feeling energized and strong, we have a weekly plan that you can follow to take the guesswork out.
It's easy to navigate and packed with all kinds of workouts that will help you strengthen, trim, pump up, tone, energize, de-stress, all of the things we want our body to feel. It's within Move.
Don't forget to mention the resources we offer. As a member of Move with Gold Ivy, you'll be a part of our exclusive Ivy League community, where we share our top wellness resources on things like meal planning, gut health hacks, time management, and more.
And because you listen to the Ivy Unleashed podcast, we want to offer you all of this for only $20 a month, cheaper than any monthly membership you'll find.
Not only that, you'll get a free trial week to test it out.
And if you need more incentive to start prioritizing you, here's our favorite part. Your movement matters. Each month, 10% of your membership will be donated to support the mental health of those in need.
So head on over to goldivyhealthco.com/move or find the link within the show notes of this episode and sign up today. Stop putting yourself in the back burner. Snag your spot and reap the benefits that you deserve to feel this year.
It's your time. Move for your health, move for your confidence, move for your mental clarity, move with Gold Ivy. Today's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Every episode of Ivy Unleashed is dedicated to empowering you to take ownership of your health. And what it really comes down to is prioritizing your mental health.
We've both seen the beauty and growth that therapy can bring and are thrilled to partner with BetterHelp to allow you the opportunity to feel heard and seen by a professional. The National Alliance on Mental Health reports that 155 million people live in a designated mental health professional shortage area, and BetterHelp is working to close that gap.
I've personally used BetterHelp and loved it because it was all online, making it super convenient. The biggest piece for me was how affordable it is. I was able to choose the therapist that met my needs. I came in with wanting to work on childhood trauma and anxiety, and it was unbelievable to see how many options I had with all the different backgrounds of therapists.
With BetterHelp, you have access to a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness. And sometimes we can't see our own patterns and behaviors until we talk them out and get an unbiased perspective.
It's really nice to have someone who doesn't know you and has the professional background to help you thrive in your daily life. It has made the world of a difference with every relationship in my life, including the one with myself.
To get started, all you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire about your needs and preferences and choose your therapist out of the options they give you. You can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. Also, you can switch therapists at no additional charge until you find the right fit for you.
The best investment you can make is in yourself. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/goldivy. That's betterhelp.com/goldivy.
Take the first step to inner peace and freedom today. And now back to the show. And I'm so grateful that you're such an eloquent speaker. Like, you found a way to translate this to audiences, whether it's in your book, whether it's on your podcast, whether it's social media. Your presence is amazing and very powerful. But I'm curious, when you got started in this, when you think about like your first experiences with manifesting or like creating, we know some of the tactics you use and we totally want to get into these wonder walks and everything. But how did that start for you? Like, was it clumsy at all to start? And like, how did you even hear about it or get started with it?
Yeah, I'll tell you my first manifestation story, the way that I learned how all of this worked. As you all know by now, I was an actress and I moved to New York City after I dropped out of college to pursue my dream of being on Broadway. And what I did when I moved to New York is I went to a conservatory program, a 2-year program called AMDA. It was a musical theater like school, very high, like very intense, singing and dancing all day long, basically preparing you to go out and audition for Broadway. And during that time, the only thing we would really do other than go out and party was go and see Broadway shows. And one of the shows that I went to see right when I moved to New York was The Wedding Singer, the Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore movie turned musical. And we had like the worst seats in the house. We were sitting all the way in the back because we had no money, and we would just go see all these shows and get the seats that we could get. And 15 minutes into the show, this character comes onto the stage. And it was such a moment. There was like a smoke machine, and she was wearing this like Madonna, like a virgin wedding dress situation. And she struts onto the stage and she starts belting out this song. And the character that this was Linda. And if you know the movie, Linda is like the bitch that leaves Robbie Hart at the altar, the ex-fiance. And in my career as an actress, I never really resonated with the princess or the good girl or like the Eponine and Les Mis. Like I always wanted to be the bad girl. And I saw this role, and all of a sudden it was like God came down and told me, this is your part. I don't know why, I just resonated with her. Everybody in the audience was laughing. She was so funny. And I'm crying because I'm having this unbelievable aha moment from the universe that this is the part I was born to play. And my friend Patrick, who's with me, looks at me. He's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I'm going to play Linda. I'm going to be Linda in The Wedding Singer. This is what I was born to do. And he's like, okay. I had never auditioned for Broadway at that time. I was living in an 8-foot by 8-foot little room with a twin bunk bed. It was in going to school. There was no Broadway in my future. But I decided that this was what I wanted more than anything. So at that time, my mom had actually given me a book. My mom is very into spirituality and personal development. And at that time, I was not, but my mom was. And she was always giving me books. And she gave me a book called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, which many people are very familiar with this book. And it's a book about the law of attraction. And I took the book and I kind of threw it on a bookshelf and never really opened it. I was like, whatever, mom, this is so stupid. You can't envision things and them happen to you. Like, that's so dumb. But then I remember watching TV and I saw Oprah doing this interview, and she shared that she was able to manifest her role in The Color Purple. Yeah, it was the movie. The Color Purple was her dream role. And I was like, whoa, well, if Oprah is using The Secret and like manifesting and she could get a role, like maybe I could be Linda. So I decided I was going to do an experiment and I was going to see if this secret thing really worked. So I started doing what the book told me to do. And every night before I went to bed, I would visualize myself playing the part. And I would see myself in the costume and like feel it on my body. And I would visualize the audience and the lights. And I would get really, really clear. And every single night I was like singing myself to sleep. I would sing all the music and practice it in my mind. And before I knew it, I had this like on replay in my brain every single night. And now that I look back, I realized what I was doing. And I don't necessarily believe that visualization magically makes things come to you, but I do believe in the power of subconscious reprogramming. And your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a real memory and a fake memory. And your subconscious mind is the thing that's actually really driving the ship behind the scenes. It's really the thing that's like dictating your actions and the things that you do and the directions that you take. And my subconscious was starting to believe that this memory I was creating of me playing Linda was real. So what that did was it made the opportunities to getting that a lot more noticeable and a lot more prevalent. Like there was like neon signs pointing right in the direction of like the way to go to get that thing. That's exactly what happened. And I saw that there was an audition for the Broadway national tour of The Wedding Singer. And I was like, here we go. My Linda costume is ready. I am ready. I'm going to go right in there and just do what I've been practicing in my mind and practicing on stage for months now. And I go to this audition and there's like 532 other girls there. I signed my name on the list. I walk in, they're all wearing basically the exact same thing as me. They look the same as me. And we're auditioning all day. And pretty soon by the end of the day, I get down to the final two. There's two girls left, me and this other girl. Gosh. And we're like battling it out. It's like she'll go in and sing and I go in and sing. And talk about feeling all of the symptoms of fear. comparison, imposter syndrome. Like it was scary, but I had this belief in the back of my mind that was just like, this is mine. So they tell us, bye, thanks, we'll call you. That's what they do in the entertainment industry. They don't tell you anything. They're just like, bye. And then I got a phone call from one of my friends, and that's never good. And my friend was like, oh, I heard that Nika, that other girl, got the part in Wedding Singer. And this was the first real big rejection in my career. But because I had been preparing myself and I had been visualizing and I had been really tricking myself to believe that this was actually for me, the rejection was not that hard. It was like immediately, my immediate reaction was like, okay, I'm just going to have to get really creative and figure out another way to get this part because it's just not right now. And so I consistently tried to find it. And then this is like the other part of the creation process. It's not necessarily about it happening right away. It's being persistent enough and resilient enough to take all the things that come at you, like rejection and like messing up and like failure, and being able to take action anyway, again and again and again. So I figured out a really sneaky way to get in front of the director again when he was auditioning a different musical called Footloose. And I snuck into this audition wearing the Linda costume and sang the Linda music just to show him how badly I wanted it. He gave me his card and he's like, listen, just keep following up with me. We're not casting it right now at this time. Like, just keep following up. And I followed up with that man for 6 months, every single week. And this is where I learned the power of follow-up in business and entrepreneurship. I just kept emailing him. He never responded to me. I just kept emailing and emailing and emailing and emailing. And finally, he called me back in. I did the entire process again. And I got a contract in my inbox that said, congratulations, Jennifer Gottlieb. We want to welcome you to the Broadway National Tour of The Wedding Singer. And I'm like crying. I'm opening this email. I'm reading the contract, and it gets to the bottom of the contract. And all of a sudden I see this part where it says, role, Linda, understudy. And I still didn't get it. So I had to go to rehearsals and I had to really watch this other girl play my part. And I had to really humble myself there. And I had to really learn how to embrace that feeling of comparison and FOMO and all those feelings that come with being a business owner now. Like I learned all of these lessons back then because I learned that instead of being pissed at this girl and hating her, that I could lean into being grateful for her because she clearly got the part and I didn't. So she was doing something that I wasn't doing. So I studied her and I learned from her and I watched her and I practiced all the moves that she did. And I saw what she was doing right. And I saw what was working. And I saw how she was landing the lines and singing the notes. And I knew that the second that I got my opportunity, because I was studying her, because I was so grateful that she was showing me the way, I was going to crush it. And finally, I got my moment. And when I got my moment, I got a call the following week saying, Jen, we want you to be Linda in the tour. And they switched things around and I got to play my part.
Wow.
I played that role on a stage for the first time in the exact same costume that the woman wore on Broadway when I saw it years before, with the audience and the lights that I visualized in my little twin bunk bed. The same thing. I walked backstage and I look up and I'm like, I was so overcome with emotion. I was like, oh my gosh, Jenny, anything that you want, you can create. You just can't take no. You cannot take no for an answer. And I don't even think this story is a story of the law of attraction anymore, as much as it is a story of resiliency and persistence and not giving up. And if you're listening to this right now and you have a dream, if you keep going for that dream and you don't stop until you get it, you will eventually get it. But you got to put in that work. And you got to put in the reps, and you got to be willing to suck, and you got to be willing to fail, and you got to be willing to hear no, and you got to get up, and you got to go, 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 go. So manifestation, law of attraction, I don't believe has much to do with things magically coming to you, but I do believe that when you visualize and you see it so clearly and you shift your beliefs, you're able to take action and get rejected and persist with a lot less fear and a lot more belief in yourself. And that's how I learned how this all works.
If you struggle with digestion, energy, bloat, acne, mood, fatigue, listen up. I spent 4 years, 50 plus doctors, and tens of thousands of dollars to heal my gut so you don't have to. I've created the what to do guide I wish I had before spending years navigating the overwhelming amount of information and conflicting doctors' opinions out in the gut health world. My help, I can't figure out what's wrong with me, The How to Heal Your Gut Starter Kit is now available, and the response to it online has been incredible. On top of what I wish I would have known, I also wish this information would have been easily accessible for me. Because of that, it's available to you on the shop page of our website for only $9.99. Included in my guide is what helped me and countless others heal their gut, along with chronic fatigue, acne, hormone imbalances, and so much more. You'll learn what foods to stay away from, what foods to eat, a 4-week gut healing eating plan, lifestyle tools to aid your healing process, and 2 of my go-to favorite recipes. So head over to our shop page on our website, goldivyhealthco.com, and remember, happy gut, happy life. You can heal. Let me help you.
One of our most popular episodes was with Jessie Golden, the creator of our new favorite and life-changing skincare line, The Golden Secrets.
You've probably seen us post about it because we take it everywhere with us, but we wanted to fill you in on exactly what we're using and the results we're seeing with this sustainable, fair trade, and cruelty-free skincare and wellness line.
Jessie mentioned that the one thing she'd take to a deserted island is her heel oil. So with her incredible looking skin, I jumped in and bought it right away. I'm using the heel oil as a moisturizer at the end of my skincare routine, or if I'm in a rush and only use one product after cleansing, it's the heel oil. I also use it right before my new gua sha routine. The Golden Secrets has a gua sha tool called the Sorceress Stone Gua Sha Beauty Tool. It's an ancient holistic facial massage tool that enhances your skincare routine by increasing blood flow, circulation, and nutrients to brighten the complexion and tone, and it lifts the facial muscles naturally. Jessie says, this is the one beauty tool, hands down, that has made the greatest impact on my skin. It has helped retrain the way the patterns of my face, muscles, and skin function. I'm already seeing more definition in my jawline and cheekbones, which is so exciting. Jessie provides tutorials on exactly how to use all of her tools and products. So as a person who's notorious for knowing nothing about skincare, The Golden Secrets has been my favorite discovery.
And for me, I've spent years getting back my health. And because of that, I take what I put in and on my body very serious. I can say without a doubt that the Golden Secrets is the only skincare products I will use in the future. I swear by the heel oil, the Youth Beauty Face Oil, coconut lip balm, and will soon have every product on my bathroom sink.
The Golden Secrets is rooted in nature, ancient wisdom, and organic beauty. Jessie Golden thrives on making skincare and wellness products that benefit everybody.
We're thrilled that we have a discount code you can use to save money when you shop The Golden Secrets. Use code GOLDIVY for 10% off today and keep watching us at Gold Ivy Health Co. on all social channels as we continue to share our amazing results with the Golden Secrets skincare line.
You can find the link and code in the show notes of this episode. And now back to the show.
There's something to this manifestation, plus me working my ass off.
Right. Well, and like you said, the belief in yourself, because that's all I keep thinking is like, regardless of what you're seeing and the no's you're getting, like you had a really strong belief that like, okay, I can still do this. I can still watch her. I can still learn. I can still not quit. Where does that belief in yourself come from?
Whew. Oh man. I think that belief comes from practice. I really do. I think that you can build belief in yourself, just like you can build anything. You can build any skill by practicing. We get good at what we practice. We get more confident by practicing being in uncomfortable situations and getting to the other side. We develop more belief in ourselves by doing things that are really hard and succeeding or failing, but understanding and knowing that you really grow and something cool happens as a result, no matter what, eventually. And so over my lifetime, like I have amazing parents that instilled a lot of belief in me when I was a kid. They told me, that I feel very unbelievably blessed and privileged to have a family that was like, we believe in you, you can do anything. But I truly believe that the belief that I gained in myself came from persistence. And I went through quite a really difficult teenage moment in my life where my whole world started blowing up and I had to persist through and I had to move through it and I had to consistently get myself out of some shitty situations and I had to really rise to the occasion and take care of myself in a lot of ways. And in some ways I failed, and in some ways I succeeded. But I think all of that created a hell of a lot of belief that within myself, that no matter what happens, I can take care of me. But that didn't appear magically. It was from consistently sticking to my own commitments and developing trust over time and getting in the reps. Right? That the more that we say we're going to do something, or the more that we put ourselves in a situation where we know that it's hard, and we get to the other side, or we complete that task, or we do that hard thing, we put more coins in our confidence bank. We become more courageous. We become more trustworthy in our own self, in our belief that we can. And so I wish that belief came from sitting around and thinking about it and saying, I believe in myself. I believe in myself. But when I look back at my journey and how I've done it and how I created my belief that I can get through things and I can do it, it really came from the reps. And do I believe in myself 100% even now? Hell no. There's always doubt. There's always fear. Always, especially now with this book launch, like new levels, new experiences, new levels of doubt, new levels of fear. But I believe in myself a little bit more than I don't. And that's all that you really need. And in the book, we talk about that a lot, the rule of 51%. You don't necessarily need to believe 100% to take action or to do anything or to go for your goal. You just have to believe a little bit more than you don't, like 51%. And sometimes that 51% will get you to take action. It'll get you to like 60% and maybe 70, maybe 90% sometimes. And that's awesome. But maybe you'll go back down to 51. As long as you are believing in yourself a little bit more than not, you're on your way.
How did you know that getting into motivational speaking and taking those steps was the next step for you? Like really narrowing in, okay, this is my niche. This is what I want to do. What did that look like for you?
I didn't really know for a while. I was speaking for a while before I knew that it was the thing that I really wanted to dial in on. I was really scared to speak for a long time because my whole existence was being able to hide behind a character. My whole life, I would play a character. I was never Jen. I was Linda, or I was Adelaide, or I was whoever, I was playing in that show at that time. So I was never speaking on a stage as myself. I remember the first time I ever had to speak on stage as myself. I got 3 minutes on stage, 3 minutes. Everyone at the event got 3 minutes to come on stage and like talk about what they did. And this is when I first started my very first business. And I was so nervous, you guys. I was like, I tried to memorize my entire 3-minute talk because I was an actor and I thought you're supposed to memorize your lines. So I was like pacing in the hallway trying to memorize it. It was terrible. It's horrible. And I got off stage and I was like, that was really bad, but I really liked it. And I really liked being able to actually be seen as me. And I just started doing it more and more. And I started doing events with my husband, Chris, and I started just putting myself out there and getting on stage. And again, it was reps and reps and reps. And I remember one of my most favorite speaking engagements ever. And I was looking out at the audience and I had a moment that brought me back to a moment that I had when I was a little girl. And when I was a little girl, I remember performing on stage in this show that we were doing in Boca Raton, Florida. And I was wearing this like red leotard and these sparkly overalls. And I was on stage singing "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow" or something like that. And I was looking out at the audience and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, there is nothing better than this. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I just love this. I love everything about it. I love connecting with the audience. I love taking these people away from their regular life and helping them to smile and think about something different for a moment. I just loved it. And then there was a speaking engagement that I did not too long ago, maybe a few years ago, where I was standing on the stage and I had that moment of like back to being a little girl, like there's nothing better than this. This is it. This is what it was all for. It was for this. And this is so much better than saying somebody else's lines. And that was when I came home and I remember I was like, all right, that's my goal. I want to do this. I want to be one of the best. I want to develop this. I want to be better. And I wasn't that great then, but I've made it my ultimate goal now is to consistently just become a better speaker and be one of the greats.
Yeah. You say you want to be the number one motivational speaker in the world. Eric Thomas, she's coming for you.
I told him I was coming for him. He knows. He's like, oh, I want you. He's like, it's okay. You're allowed.
Yeah. Brooke is also obsessed with Eric Thomas. We talk about
every
him
morning.
all the time.
Well, you guys get to see him.
I know. We're so excited. And I think it's one thing to feel that desire to be like, okay, I know this is what I want. And then there's that gap between that desire, that realization, and like, you're doing it, Jen. Like, you are on big stages now, right? And I love too that you really dive into what it feels like to be rejected and how to shift your mindset in those moments. I'm so excited for everybody to have access to you and to learn more from you. But I'm curious, like, that journey in speaking, how it's been for you to kind of like, I don't want to say force your way into stages, but you've got to take some no's. And how do you get those yeses to get yourself to where you are now?
Yeah, I get a lot of no's, you guys. I do. My therapist is she's amazing. She asked me the same question about everything, and it's such a powerful question. And whenever I'm dealing with something that's not fun, maybe rejection, maybe imposter syndrome with getting my book out there, or fear that no one's going to buy, all these things, all these fears that come up when you do anything new, she always asks me, what do you want your relationship with that to be? I'm like, oh gosh, Debbie, with your relationships. But it's really true. Like, what do you want your relationship with rejection to be? Because if I'm going to go down this path of wanting to be the best speaker in the world, I'm going to get rejected a lot. And I have a lot of experience, thank God, getting rejected, because when I was an actress, I was basically just a professional auditioner, which means you're getting rejected 10 times a day. So I can ask myself, what do I want my relationship with this to be? What do I want my perspective of rejection to be? Do I want rejection to make me feel like I'm not good enough? I could go down that path for sure. And I'll do it sometimes for a second, but then I'll catch myself and I'll say, what do I want my relationship with rejection to be? I want my relationship to be, this is what it is. And this is part of the game. And if I'm getting rejected, it just means that I'm getting closer to what I want. And that's the perspective that I choose to have. And I actually have steps in the book in order to move through rejection. But I'll give you one little tip that's not in the book of the thing that I've been doing lately, because I get rejected all the time. I get rejected from podcasts. I get rejected from stages. It's just part of the process. So what I do when I get a rejection is I screenshot it, whether it's a text or an email. Usually that's how it comes in. And I have an album in my phone called rejection emails. And I put them all in my album. And I have this album full of all of my rejections. And I'll go and I'll visit it regularly. And I'll look at them regularly. And I'll read them regularly. And I'm always consistently improving my relationship with rejection by reading them and just asking myself, like, did this kill me? No, this opened up an opportunity for something else, actually. Because when you can connect the dots looking backwards, and I'll look at one from maybe last year or 6 months ago. Oh, thank God I didn't get this one. Because if I got this one, I wouldn't have gotten that one that was way better. Or the reason that I didn't get this was because I didn't, now that I met that person, I know that I'm not aligned with that person anyway. Thank God. God was protecting me. So when you can look back and understand why those rejections were actually secretly for me, you can't tell in the moment, but you can tell when you look back, and you can look at those emails and you can laugh and you can make light of them. And sometimes I'll send them to my husband and be like, look, another one for the album. Let's go. Let's keep racking them in. It means I'm on my way. And I shift my perspective. It helps. It doesn't make it burn any less. The burn still is there. I don't ever want to tell anybody to like toxic positivity yourself out of not feeling the burn from rejection, because it sucks. But my friend Gabby Bernstein, who wrote the foreword to the book, she's got this amazing method called the choose again method. I love it so much. I use it every day. She talks about how you can't necessarily choose the first thought that comes into your mind, right? Our minds just think thoughts without our control. So maybe the first thought is, oh my God, I got rejected from that. That means I'm not good enough. I suck, right? And that sucks. And that feels bad. Okay. That's an okay thought and feeling to have. So I'll be like, Jen, that is a thought. You feel that thought. You feel that feeling. You feel those feelings. That burns. That sucks. But can I control the second thought? Yes, I can choose again. I could choose another thought. I can choose another thought that would represent the relationship that I want to have with that rejection. So I'll ask myself, okay, what is the actual thought that I want to have about this? And I'll recreate another thought. But I'll make sure that I have fully felt my feelings before I create that second thought. Because if you don't fully feel your feelings, then they come out in all kinds of crazy different ways. And I know that from experience. So I'll make sure I process it, choose another thought, take another action, and then find a way to turn that no into a yes. Whether that is turning that no into a yes, actually, like I did with Wedding Singer, or turning that no into a yes with filling my space and time with something else that's another opportunity, and going out there and putting myself in the ring for something else.
Yeah, that reframe is what allows you to keep going, to stay in the game, and to, as you say, be seen. So before we get into the book, I would love to know, what does being seen mean to you?
Jen, before you answer that, we're going to wrap up part 1. We're going to come back for part 2. Everybody tune in on Thursday to hear about Be Seen with Jen Gottlieb.
want to thank you and encourage you to celebrate yourself for taking the time to learn and get inspired in your one beautiful life. And if this podcast means something to you, it would mean so much to us if you'd be willing to take 30 seconds to help support our mission to keep bringing you inspiring stories and guests.
First, following the podcast is important because it helps you never miss an episode. To do this, just go to the Ivy Unleashed podcast show page on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and then just tap the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner or click on follow.
While you're there, if you'd be so kind to give us a 5-star rating and review and share your favorite episode with a friend, we'd be so grateful for your support.
We are thrilled you're here and are so happy that you're taking time to prioritize your wellness, self-discovery, and growth with us.
The Ivy Unleashed podcast is produced in partnership with J. Gray Podcast Production.